those of you wondering if it's merely a coincidence that I've ended Sasquatch Week with a movie that is not only watchable, but also very, very good, no, it's not a coincidence. It's always best to have your theme weeks be a long, dark tunnel that you're about 99% sure leads to instant death, only to have your fall safely cushioned with the soft blow of a surprisingly creepy G-rated horror film. No shit, a G-rated horror film that is actually good. Oh, I'm still gonna make jokes about it, of course, cause that's what I'm programmed to do. But it all comes from a place of love. You can tell because the jokes are delivered with a smarmy grimace like this, as opposed to a shouting message of anger like this. The Legend of Boggy Creek is a low-budget docu-horror film about the legendary Fouke monster, which supposedly has been witnessed by residents dating as far back as the 1950s. The film was produced and directed by advertising salesman Charles B. Pierce, who had much better luck in the filmmaking world than a fertilizer salesman. Seriously, a lot of the scenery here looks so terrifying, I don't even think Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson would want to investigate what goes on here. Many of the locals were used to help out with the film's production, be it in acting parts, plus a trucking company even funded a majority of the film. But seriously, another Bigfoot movie that takes place in the woods? As if I haven't seen that before. When is he gonna take Manhattan or a cruise line? There's enough nature shots in the first 5 minutes to give Terrence Malick enough material for 5 movies. 5 brilliant movies if you ask me. Normally when I see a shot linger on something for this long, it's a cock. Many of the Sasquatch movies I've watched have been corny to the point of a film tickle fight, but with the look and atmosphere of this one, I have my hopes up. Yeah, I'm not going to this place. Ooh, now it's Timmy's turn to save Lassie. Only it's too late. The Fouke monster has already eaten her. The town drunks will help him.
Now, boy, I want you to go back down there and tell your mama there ain't a thing in the world to be afraid of.
Except for dental hygiene. Dude, you spit on my fucking floor! Clean that shit up! This is a little game they like to play in the Texarkana parts called Race the Sun.
I was 7 years old when I first heard him scream. It scared me then, and it scares me now.
But then I found out that it was old Uncle Patrick's farts after the big Sunday chili potluck. Boy, was I embarrassed. This looks like the kind of place you'd go to create monsters for a Godzilla movie. I feel like there doesn't even need to be Sasquatch here. Just breathing the air would slice your throat. Come to Fouke, Arkansas, where even our water tower is full of gravy. That's right, Fouke, Arkansas, where if you don't come with a Bible in one hand and an appetite for baby back ribs in the other, then you can Fouke off. Kidding aside, the opening narration does give us a feel of life in 1972 Fouke, Arkansas.
Fouke has several stores, a couple of gas stations, a post office and school, garage and motel, and 2 cafes.
Well, that's really all you need. They did have a video store at one point, but the only movie that they had was a copy of Turkey Shoot. In fact, it wasn't even a movie, it was just a bottle of wild turkey.
Maybe Smokey Crabtree, who lives way back down on the edge of the bottoms, will tell about a mink or beaver he or his son Travis caught.
But we hope that he doesn't, because we got a monster story to tell, and old Crabtree's stories just never end. Also, Crabtree, Travis, that sounds really familiar. Probably nothing. Now that we know about the town, let's meet some of the locals.
Travis walks and paddles for miles every morning, running his trap lines before school starts.
The school part is optional.
Most of the people who live around Fouke are farmers or ranchers.
The Fouke monster serves as the mayor. I don't know, if you like living in the South, this seems like a nice place to live.
Fouke is a right pleasant place to live. Until the sun goes down.
Nothing to do with the monster, really. Just a lot of drunk driving. And people wildly shooting things outside their door.
That day in the store, Willie Smith didn't believe me when I told him about a wild, hairy creature in the woods.
But then he too witnessed a lurking Danny DeVito peeping in through the window. Don't believe me? That's why we have celebrity witness John Oates.
Found one of them lying right here with deep gashes and cuts in and his tongue was hanging out. Looked like something had strangled him.
Watch out, boy, it'll chew you up. It's a man-eater. And then when I did an interview for this documentary on the folk monster, I got lost in the woods.
What kind of thing can pick up 200-pound hogs and walk off with them?
Clearly you've never read the Bible, 'cause Noah could do that shit. This place is so swampy, the creek is 70% moonshine. You could either film an Amazon cannibal movie here or a cartoon about singing birds. Well, there's your Felk monster. It's a cow. Seems like this story has been told an awful lot.
Where did he come from? And what does he eat? Are questions I've heard discussed a 1,000 times around winter fires and on hot summer evenings.
1,000 times? You'd think that story would be getting a little old by now. Why not mix it up a little bit and tell the story of Madman Mars? Here we meet Fred Crabtree. The Crabtrees seem to know an awful lot about this monster. Is the Felk monster just seeking them out personally, a la Jaws the Revenge? This is actually a tragic incident that's about to happen on set of Black River Monster. Any other Crabtrees?
A few months later, James Crabtree was squirrel hunting.
There's your problem. Your brain is causing all sorts of hallucinations, probably from eating squirrel. Crabtree obviously doesn't know what he's doing here. He's about to get several people sending him messages on how cigarettes are bad for him.
Neither Fred Crabtree nor his Uncle James told anyone about their experience for years. They figured nobody would believe them.
Oh, feed them enough squirrel and they'll believe anything. Never mind the interviews, let's get to some more monster reenactments.
Mary Beth Searcy is a teenage student.
She's in the 2nd grade.
So this evening, just the two girls, their mother, and the baby will be alone in this house. They have no phone, and the nearest neighbor is a mile or so across the woods.
What we're trying to say, audience, is that should you decide to stage a home invasion on this young girl, it would be very easy. As soon as we fill up this bucket from the Coors Light well, we'll have plenty of fluids to run our bath. Must be very hard to study around here.
Mary Beth, would you please hang something over the window? There's a draft on the baby.
Funny, your baby looks like a cat. Who's the father?
Would you please hurry up? This draft's gonna give the baby a cold.
Okay.
Bitch, you've got feet. I don't know if you know how to use them, but you got them. I don't know why the existence of the Felk monster is debated. Look at all this video footage they're capturing. Mary Beth is just upset because she realized that she's the youngest grandmother in the county. Let's see how more of this scenery looks and feels like Flop Sweat.
The beauty of the bottoms under soft moonlight is transformed into dark, menacing danger.
No, it's the day for night lens that's doing that. Honest mistake. If you listen closely, you can hear the sound of the monster. Oops, sorry, that's a turtle. Here we see a young lad carving himself a rifle. And once he's done, hot damn, he's just gotta shoot something. Shit, there he is. Robin Williams in the flesh. Shoot him before they make Mrs. Doubtfire 2.
They saw crushed underbrush and bloodstains, which, in the excitement, no one thought to gather a sample of.
Because they just used it as a condiment. I don't know why they're cutting to the hunting sequence from Romero's Dawn of the Dead, but I'm game.
A big hunt was organized, with some of the best hunting dogs in Arkansas and Texas involved.
If anyone could sniff out the monster's whereabouts, it's McGruff, especially if the monster is peddling narcotics. They were gonna check out the all-girl Black River Ranch next door, but out of sight, out of mind. Wait a minute, it's just Trumpy. Go away, Trumpy, we can't be friends anymore.
You've never seen a more embarrassed and angry group of dog owners.
Well, let's go, fellas. You're about to become sausages. Pat had better get back to town quick. He also serves as the town's stoplight. But here we get a chance for the narrator to really get inside the Felk monster's head.
Since his very appearance and the sounds he makes frightened us, our immediate reaction was to try to kill him. I suppose if a strange-looking creature from another world showed up, he'd get the same reception.
Yeah, that, or someone would fuck him. The lesson I've learned from this is that the Felk monster has a beautiful singing voice.
This is where the story plays, a world on which we seldom gaze.
See? He doesn't want to kill, he just wants a record contract. Screw the dogs, we got Dr. Jonathan Chase watching over the swamp. And there's that Travis again. When are we gonna get his backstory?
Hey, Travis Crabtree, wait a minute for me. Let's go back in the bottom, back where the fish are biting, where all the world's inviting, and nobody sees the flowers bloom but me.
Travis, you going somewhere there, big guy?
Hey, Travis Crabtree, do you see what I see on the gentle?
I'm sure he'll be fine.
A million birds are singing like the bells of heaven ringing, and nobody sees the flowers bloom but me. Drop me on a patch of land, never stepped upon my
Are you just gonna stare at me? Cause if you are, could you at least give me something to eat first? I'm really, really hungry.
Lord, ain't it great to be free? Hey, Travis Crabtree, it's the right life for me. Roaming alone in the bottom.
Huh. Well, there's something you don't see every day. I should probably call the cops because I've technically just witnessed a murder, but I got a movie to talk about.
Hey, Travis Crabtree, wait a minute for me.
Let's meet old Herb Jones.
Herb Jones is a man who likes a lot of privacy.
Mainly because he's busy carving his victims' bones into pocket knives. I love so much that a character like Travis Crabtree, who only has less than 5 minutes of screen time and really no dialogue, gets his own theme song. Now that's character development, goddammit. Herb, however, doesn't get a song.
Herb can spin yarns for hours about his experiences with the wild creatures of the bottomland.
Even if you don't ask him. That's why many people don't come see Herb. That and his smoker's lounge is also where he takes a shit. And he seems to be very clumsy.
Herb limps because he once accidentally shot part of his foot away in a boating accident.
What? How? How did that happen? How did those sequences of events come into play? That's like, oops, I got into a car accident and then I was hit in the face with an axe. But if there's one thing Herb don't believe in, it's monsters.
People always ask me, have I seen the folk monster? I let me tell you something. There ain't no such thing.
Killer boats, however, that blow my foot off with a shotgun? Ho, that one's real. Actually, the monster is just old Herb in a gorilla costume. Them chickens never see it coming.
This dog and others found dead might well be his victims.
Or Herb's victims, we're not really sure yet. At least the authorities are on the case. Although these 3 tow tracks could be anything, it's all the proof I need that heaven is for real. And I gotta give it to this movie. It's one of the only ones I've watched this week that actually uses the word Sasquatch on Sasquatch Week.
Sasquatch? I don't believe I know what that is.
It's some mythical monster that some idiot on the internet has been talking about for the past 5 days.
Well, now, doesn't the Sasquatch have a normal 5 toes? This thing here has only 3 toes.
Oh, that's because he shot them off with a shotgun after a boating accident. We now go to a zoo to prove that the Falk monster isn't really Andy Serkis. I'm gonna need some more witnesses here.
Well, Mr. Kennedy, did you ever hear anything out of the ordinary down here?
Yeah, people randomly firing their guns off in the middle of the night. I'm gonna get that Falk monster for putting sugar in my damn tractor. Seriously, how do we know that the monster isn't just bratty teenagers? But we do know one thing for sure.
He always travels Boggy Creek.
Well, of course he does. Then the title wouldn't make any sense. Here's what the old Black River Ranch looks like now, after the Great Police Raid of '92. The kids go off to show their mother where they heard the monster, but don't let the music fool you. Yes, it sounds jolly, but with kids, woods, and parents, I know where this scene is going.
No.
Okay, maybe not that disturbing. Maybe everyone in Falk just needs glasses. I'm just saying, it could easily be a field mouse. And regardless, just because you're a mythical southern beast doesn't mean you can get away with jaywalking any damn time you please. I think the monster just likes raiding in on girls' slumber parties. God damn it, the monster is Ted Bundy!
It could have been a fatal mistake if the man who lives here had been home tonight. He has a high-powered rifle handy and knows how to use it.
To be fair, who in this town doesn't? I think it's the monster that's lucky to be alive, not the people. Well, okay, maybe these girls are being a little slapsticky with the rifle. They probably tried loading it with peanuts first. The monster just got frustrated because he broke in on a G-rated party.
Let's all have a Coke. Do y'all want one?
See? They're only drinking soda and no one is having premarital sex. In fact, they're wearing so much clothes that I'm not even sure if they have ankles. But they can scream like they're in a horror movie.
Before the creature finally wandered off, he smashed flower pots and overturned everything in sight.
Well, that'll happen when you scream at its dick. Things are starting to get personal here.
Now, let me tell you something. He killed the finest dog that I ever had. But I'm going to get him one of these days, and that's going to be all she wrote.
I've learned my lesson in these Sasquatch movies. I'm just going to assume now that nobody in them is ever going to get that filthy animal. Let's get some out-of-towners in here. Traveling music, traveling music, traveling music. I didn't think they'd be able to drag a shitter across state lines, but they done proved the Enos brothers wrong. I see we got a house of swingers here, in that they like to go in the backyard and play on a swing. This Falk monster is so scary that even the sun is afraid to go down come nightfall. They've heard the legends of Herb Jones too. Best lock the door. Here, let's offer up a sacrifice of our children. Maybe that'll drive the beast away. Or we could just call the cops.
I had a pretty good look around and I couldn't find the thing. Are you sure you don't want to go back to my place till the men get here?
You know, since you're chicks and all. Just look at those macho men folk. Monster doesn't live in the water, you idiots. Holy shit, someone stuck their hand in the mud, and I've got no evidence that he washed it off come summertime. So what are these big, strong men gonna do?
Well, it's getting kind of late and the fish aren't biting anyway, so I think we ought to go.
Thanks to the questionable chemicals in the creek, I think the fish might have 3 toes too. Look at it like this. After the nuclear holocaust, shots like this will look exactly the same. There sure is a lot of sleeping in this orgy scene. How dare the monster disturb Adam Scott's beauty rest? The monster makes another appearance, and there's a face that says, I'm either looking at Sasquatch, or I'm seeing a penis for the very first time. If you think that chair is gonna stop Herb's shotgun boat, you better think twice.
You wouldn't believe what happened. You wouldn't believe what happened. I've never seen nothing. You wouldn't believe it.
God damn it, there can only be 2 official town drunks, and don't y'all go taking that away from us. Even Southern Justin Bieber looks frantic. Okay, so things seem to be all calmed down for the moment.
Is that drive-in popcorn I smell?
Well, see, there you go. He just wants to play some video games. You're all gonna be fine. This is a good way to piss off a Sasquatch, or to randomly shoot someone in the head because you're aimlessly firing into the woods. There's an easy solution to all of this. Just leave a saucer of milk out for him. It works for stray cats. Or is it Sasquatch after all?
Here's a panther track and a little cub with it under this house.
You mean a panther's been living in the house?
Yes, they're panther tracks. That is, if the only panther feet you've seen are of the pink panther. They got booze, guns, and children. What's the worst that could happen? That's right, Sasquatch now knows what your poop face looks like. Careful, boys. He's right behind you, and he's got a camera. This is a shot with such hyper energy, it could have been a segment in Faces of Death and then passed off as real. Don't worry, they've got the best of the best on this case. Alright boys, fill them with 10 cc's of natty ice. We don't got a defibrillator, so get them some headphones and a best of Buck Owens mixtape. Stat! We'll revive this son bitch!
Bobby recovered swiftly, and the Fords and Turners moved away. They don't plan on coming back.
Because he's more of a George Jones man and not Buck Owens.
What the creature was after inside the Ford house is perhaps the biggest mystery of all.
As in, who would rent this house? And now we see that the little boy from the beginning and our narrator has grown up to become Jeremy Renner from American Hustle. That's a much better twist than There Was No Monster or It Was Just the Present All Along. Any parting words?
But if you're ever driving down in our country along about sundown, keep an eye on the dark woods as you cross the Sulphur River bottoms, and you may catch a glimpse of a huge, hairy creature watching you from the shadows.
I think I'm going to be wondering a few other things, such as how in the hell did I end up outside of Texarkana, and tell me more about these 10 cc's of natty ice. But the biggest question is, after 5 Sasquatch movies, are they finally going to get that filthy animal?
This is where the story plays.
Of course they're not, because they need sequels, obviously. The Legend of Boggy Creek has since become a cult classic and was made on a mere $100,000 budget, but brought in around $20 million. The film's director even went on to direct another highly regarded Southern fried horror film, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, or as I like to call it, Friday the 13th Part 2, Part 1. As for Boggy Creek, the film spawned Return to Boggy Creek in 1977, with no involvement of the original crew. Charles Pierce would return, however, for his official Boggy Creek 2, which, isn't quite as good as the original. More unofficial entries were also made in 2010 and in 2011. And I'm sure they're fantastic. The Legend of Boggy Creek boasts great atmosphere, creepy visuals, plenty of small town charm, an extremely catchy soundtrack, and some jump scares that are actually quite effective. If you're gonna watch any of the Sasquatch movies I've spotlighted, oh my god, make it this one! I sure hope you learned a lot about Sasquatch this week, in that nothing was learned at all, except that I watched 4 shitty movies and 1 really good one. Plus, I have a fucking corpse that I gotta take care of downstairs. I'll see how this week could possibly end without something really random happening, so I'm gonna go clean up that shit.
This is where the story plays, a world on which we seldom gaze. A page from the book of yesterdays, birds and beast and wind and water. Here beneath the bright blue sky, no man's smoke blinds the eagle's eye, and things that crawl or swim or fly